This is Worth the Journey, a Worthington Schools podcast. My name is Angie Adrian.
And I am Jeff Maddox. Together, Ange and I serve as assistant superintendents and also the host of this podcast. And Ange, believe it or not, we're heading into our third year and people are actually listening.
Thankfully, it's not really about us. It's about the amazing people that we get to interview.
Worthington is home to about 11,000 students and 1,400 staff members. But what makes this place so special is the relationships, the culture, and the sense of community we share.
We celebrate the journeys of the people who make Worthington Schools such a great place to work and grow.
So whether you're a student, staff member, parent, alum, or just curious about Worthington Schools, we're glad you're joining us.
Want me to start?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
You usually do.
We're starting.
You always go, afternoon, Jeff. And I'm like, hey, Edge.
Good morning, Jeff. It's good to see you today. It seems like it's been forever since we have recorded a podcast and been on the air.
As the kids say, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
I miss you, but I actually get to see you every day, which is one of the highlights of my day.
Yeah, it should be, as it should.
Absolutely.
Yep. You know, I was thinking, super excited, as I always am, to bring on our guest today. But I got to thinking, when we were doing our pre-interview with our guest, we talked a lot about the start of our careers.
Yeah.
And our guest today started in a different career and now has gone to the brighter side of the world in education. But when he first started, he was a teacher and a coach. Yeah. And I can relate to that, starting my career doing both. Were you a coach right away when you started
I did
teaching?
not coach right away. I was given the opportunity to coach, but I chose to pursue a master's in administration. So I went back in the day. That meant you had to go down to Ohio State pretty much every night. Now you're afforded the opportunity to maybe sit home and do your master's. I was not afforded that. So I jumped right into my master's program at Ohio State. So... but I coached, but I did end up coaching a lot.
Yeah.
But just not right out of
Yeah,
the
that
gate.
makes sense. That ages us a little bit because in the 90s, we didn't have all those online opportunities.
No, we didn't, did we? Kind of sounds nice.
Graduate and,
Yeah,
a little different because our guest, I don't even know if our guest was born yet in the 90s, but we'll find that out.
I don't know.
We'll find that out pretty soon.
But for our listeners, and Ange and I get to hear from people about ideas. Ange typically comes up with really good ideas, and this one is exciting to us because we get to hear from somebody who has done a really nice job for us in the classroom. But we also want to start talking with people about how do you balance life and give back outside of the classroom.
Well, good morning, Blake. It is great to have you with us.
Great to be on the podcast. Thanks for inviting me.
Blake, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are currently teaching, and then we'll get into your first career before you started at Worthington Kilbourne High School.
Yeah, absolutely. So Blake Balogh, and I'm a teacher at Worthington Kilbourne High School. Teach business at Kilbourne. Everyone from freshmen to seniors. Teach keyboarding, computer skills, intro to business, personal finance, courses like that, and wouldn't have it any other way.
So Blake, when you and I were chatting a little bit, I talked with you about when I first started teaching, had the opportunity to coach basketball and softball right away at Mansfield Senior High School. And so it sounds like you grew up in an area fairly close to Mansfield Senior High School, and your dad has a whole lot of influence on you as a young teacher and coach. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up right down the street from Mansfield Senior, a small little community called Ontario. And yeah, my dad was a teacher and coach for 35 plus years, spent the majority of those years at Ontario High School. And I always like to say I basically grew up in the school and in the basketball gymnasium. It was kind of everything that I knew growing up. And it was something that as I grew older was really special to me. And obviously my dad is huge influence on my life, and someone that I look up to a lot, and look for guidance, and probably is one of the main reasons I got into education.
Yeah, you know, we talk about teaching and coaching, and certainly this podcast is about recruiting teachers, right? Jeff and I started this as a way to help our new teachers understand what Worthington Schools is all about. But But I talk about the relationship between teaching and coaching because for me personally, and I want to hear more from you, but for me personally, what it did was really made me a better teacher in the classroom because it helped me build relationships with students and families outside of the classroom, outside of those four walls. And get to know people on a different level. You know, I coached girls varsity, but got to know those boys just as well as I did the girls that I coached, as well as their coaching staff. So when I would see those kids in the hallways, it just enhanced my role as a teacher in the classroom too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of the same for me. I've kind of taken to heart. I think I heard it from one of you two actually when we first started. I came here for that week of orientation when you first started as a first-year teacher, and you said something along the lines of, they won't learn from you unless they know that you care.
Yep.
And I kind of took that to heart of, outside the four walls of the classroom, I want to get to know those kids, what they're doing outside the classroom, extracurriculars, what they're involved in, things like that. Because I think that's just as important as what's happening in the classroom. And it helps you become a better teacher when you know those kids and what they're doing outside of those four walls. And then you've got some things that you can kind of talk to them about during class. Hey, how'd your game go last night? How'd you play? Those types of things that, they're small conversations that you have with kids, but it shows them that you care and gives them a reason to kind of hopefully be excited to come to class that day.
So, Blake, I'm going to jump in. I actually have two questions. One is actually for Angie. The other one is going to be for you, of course. But
I'm not being it. Come on, Jeff.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go off script right away. You brought up, Angie, that you were a basketball coach at Mansfield Senior right out of the gate, right? What was your record?
I have no idea.
Oh, yeah, you do. I know.
I really don't.
What I know about Ange,
no
and
idea.
I love about Ange, super competitive. There's no chance you don't remember.
I don't. I promise. Really? I have no idea what our record was.
I'm going to see if I can.
I have no idea what our record was.
What do you think? Internet's going to be able to do a little deep dive on that one and figure out what our record was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Guess what I'm doing tonight? All right, Blake. Take us back to before you got hired in Worthington.
Yep.
Talk to us about that interviewing process. Talk with us about maybe some self-doubt you had.
Yep.
And then how did you overcome all of that, and why Worthington?
Yep. How far back you want me to go?
I want you to take us back.
All right.
Take us through that process because, what I've learned and Ange has learned, when we go out and we start talking with students in college, they will reference this podcast, and what they appreciate is hearing voices that are mimicking how they're feeling, right? So take us back. Share a story.
Yeah. I mean, so starting from kind of the beginning, I just remember my senior year of high school, you fill out like one of those questionnaires of what you want to do when you're older. And my dad asked me, what do you think you want to do? I was like, well, I think I want to get into education. And that was when there was some changes happening in the education world, and he kind of tried to steer me away from it. I was like, all right, I guess I'm not doing education. So went to college, kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went from thinking I wanted to be a physical therapist because my brother was, and then changed majors, got kind of into the sports management and business world, thought I wanted to work for, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, something like that. Graduated with my undergrad, had a few different jobs kind of in the sports and business world. And then I just remember there was a game where went back home and watched one of my dad's tournament games. And this was when me and my now wife, Ashley, who teaches in Worthington at Liberty Elementary.
Shout out, Ashley. Does a great job for us in kindergarten.
Excellent classroom teacher, yep.
But we had just started dating, and she came to this tournament game with me, and, we're watching the game, and then I think my dad they end up losing in the tournament. And we're driving back down to Columbus, about an hour drive, and I'm probably not in the best mood, I'll admit it. And so we're driving, she kind of looks at me with a stern face and goes, you know what you need to do? And I'm kind of like, what? And she goes, you need to become a teacher and coach, because you're just like your dad.
Sounds like a compliment.
Yeah, for a second, I was kind of like, I didn't know what to say. And then it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, you might be right. And so basically from then on, decided I was going to go back to school, got my teaching license, got my master's degree, and then from there, that's kind of where it took off. And I mean, thank God for my wife. Without her, I don't know that I would have made the leap. And it's one of the best things that's ever happened. And luckily enough, got to the interview process, and I had some really good people that I had experiences with that probably vouched for me more than they should have. Guys like Jason Savage and Sean Lazater at Thomas. I had my interview with Eric Thomas and Josh Almanson, and I was lucky enough that they thought highly enough of me that they called a couple of days later and offered me the job at Kilbourne. And like I said, probably the best decision that I've ever made in my life, probably outside of marrying my wife.
Yeah, let's rank that number one. Yeah.
Blake, you mentioned at one time in our previous conversations that you don't necessarily see yourself as great,
Yep.
But you strive for greatness daily. So I guess, what does that look like in practice for you as a teacher and a coach? Yep. And then maybe include, like, what do you think your players and your students would say about you? How would they describe you?
Yeah. I mean, I think anyone coming into teaching needs to understand not everything's going to go right 100% of the time. You're going to make mistakes. You're not always going to make the right decision. But I think the thing that's important to keep in mind is always trying to get better. And I'll admit, like, even today, I don't think I'm the best teacher in the world. But the bigger thing for me is, as long as I continue to strive to get better, I think looking year over year, I look back and I'm like, man, I've gotten a lot better. And you think of kind of those first years of teaching, you're like, man, I don't know why I did that, but those are learning experiences that you kind of learn from. And I mean, looking at my players, my kids that I have in class, my hope is that I've had an impact on them outside the classroom, kind of like we talked about earlier, of not just teaching them things in class, but also teaching them life lessons outside of class of, how to be a good husband, how to be a good brother, how to be a good son, daughter, whatever it might be. And then, eventually later on, how to be a good mom, how to be a good dad, things like that.
Yeah, that's great. And our listeners can't see this, but Blake, you're wearing a bracelet. What does that bracelet say?
Yeah, I've got a bracelet that says "Handle Hard Better," and it's from a girls coach at Duke University. Yep. She's got a good kind of 2-minute clip of, things in life aren't ever really going to get easier. Yep. You just get better at handling hard things better, and I think that's one of the best life advices that I've ever heard. Of, it's never really going to get easier. You're going to face tough things throughout your entire life. You just get better at handling those things.
Right. Yep. And Blake, if you read my weekly newsletter and watch the video in that newsletter, you'll know that was one of the videos I shared.
I know.
What was really cool? Right before we started, Blake was telling me about that newsletter and how he loved it and actually was.
That's why he's wearing the bracelet.
100%.
It's all because of That's a Wrap.
The timing of that story was pretty cool, Blake.
Points for Blake.
That was unbelievable. Hey, during our pre-interview, you shared a story about the sun came out today.
Yep.
I want you to share with our listeners that story, but when you're sharing that, talk about what did that moment teach you about the role of a teacher beyond academics?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a student a couple years ago that I've got a pretty good student-teacher relationship with, and he felt comfortable enough to come to me kind of in a time of need. He was going through some tough things that were outside of his control, family things, and kind of told him his story. And I mean, for me, I was kind of taken aback because I think part of education is a lot of our kids are going through things that probably, one, they don't tell us, and two, that we have no idea that are going on. And for whatever reason, this student felt comfortable enough to kind of share some of the things that he was going through. And I just remember thinking, I was like, man, I don't know what to tell this kid, because it's something that I've never experienced in my life. But again, kind of going back to my dad being my role model, when we lost my last high school basketball game ever, I remember I was just heartbroken. And we kind of got back to Ontario, and we were in the locker room, and he was the last guy that I hugged walking out of the locker room. And I just remember him saying, "Hey, son is still going to come up tomorrow." And for whatever reason, that's kind of the thing that popped in my head. And that's what I told this student, this kid. Said, "Hey, I know this is tough and this is kind of outside of your control, but understand tomorrow's a new day. The sun's going to come up. And, we'll live each day kind of the best way that you know how, and control the things that you can control." And for whatever reason, that stuck with him. And he came back to me probably about a week later and just asked, "Hey, how's everything going?" I said, "Coach, I really took what you said to heart. Sun came up today. It's a great day." Right. And it's hard not to smile. If there was a camera, you'd see I'm cheesing, but like those are the moments that, no pun intended, make it worth it.
Yeah, listen, and we all hear it. There's a core piece of you that foundationally says adversity is going to be part of life.
Yep.
And when adversity hits, lean into the mess.
Yep.
Where is that foundation? What is that basis from?
I think it's from two things. One, I've got a really strong wife at home, she does a lot of things that aren't necessarily seen on a day-to-day basis, especially when, I'm at basketball late nights until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So one, that makes me a stronger person of, hey, if she's working this hard, there's no reason that I shouldn't be working this hard. And then also, looking back on my childhood, like I had a really strong foundation of my dad teaching me, just life lessons of kind of like that story I told. Hey, yesterday might have not been the best day, but today's a new day. Sun comes up. Let's get after it today. It seems simple. It's not necessarily anything that's motivational or flashy, but it's something I think a lot of people could hopefully take something from of day to day. Let's make it the best day we can.
Blake, you were a trusted adult for that young man and a mentor for that young man. Talk to us a little bit about the mentors in your life that have helped shape you.
Yeah. Yep. Obviously I've hit on it. My dad,
sure,
my biggest mentor, but also like looking through my journey to getting into teaching, guy by the name of Court Hamilton, who's the principal at Hilliard Bradley right now. And I was lucky enough, my senior year of college, did an internship with him when he was an athletic director at Bradley, and just had a huge influence on me. He was a teacher and coach, and then got into administration, but just again, simple life lessons that he taught me. And one of the kind of key takeaways that I remember he told me is, hey, this is my first year being an AD. I might not know everything, but he goes, part of this is if I show up and people see that I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm working every day, a lot of the other things will solve itself. And I've kind of taken that to heart of, there's a lot of things, like since I've gotten this job in Worthington, I do yearbook, I do Interact Club, I do stats for the football team every Friday night. I also coach golf, and that's something that I've kind of taken is what he said of the kind of the more that you're involved, even if you don't know what you're doing, if you work hard and you just put a positive foot forward, a lot of the other things take care of themselves if you just work hard. Yeah. And he's been awesome.
You may not realize this, but I know Court Hamilton, and so does Jeff Maddox, because Court's father, Tim, is a great mentor to Jeff and I both. As young assistant principals at Hilliard Darby High School, Tim Hamilton was a great mentor to us and a great trusted adult for us. So that's a pretty cool story.
Blake, how many years have you been teaching?
This is my 4th year teaching.
All right, 4 years in. I want you to run through the list again of all of the things you're involved with for the Worthington schools outside of the classroom.
So I teach yearbook. That's in the classroom. I do Interact Club. I coach JV boys golf. I do stats every Friday night for the football team, and then I'm our assistant coach for the boys basketball program.
And listen, thank you, and I mean that. But my question's going to seem simple at first.
Yep.
But I want you to kind of dive into it, and that is why. Why do you do that much stuff outside the classroom?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to sound like just repetition here, but a lot of it goes back to the way that I grew up and like my mentor being my dad. And I just remember growing up, we were either at basketball practice in the gym, I was either at the school with him, or we would be going to Friday night football games, we'd be going to baseball games, all to kind of support the kids that he had or just support the school in general. And coming from a small town, I think one of the things that he taught me is a lot of times the more involved you are, the more that community is going to give back to you. And I've kind of tried to take that to heart of the more I can be involved in for our kids, hopefully the more that this community gives back to me. And I think I see that a lot in the classroom of when kids see you outside of the classroom supporting them at various events, they're a lot more likely to, when you have them in the classroom, they're going to be engaged, they're going to be ready to learn. And that helps a lot of just having that simple relationship with those kids, of seeing them outside the classroom and showing them that you care goes a long way.
What were you involved in your first year of teaching?
First year of teaching, I just did basketball, boys basketball.
Okay. And that's a lot. I mean, that time commitment alone is huge. When I am out recruiting teachers, I often get asked about, your first, second, third year, just focusing in on the classroom and not doing stuff out of the classroom. You chose to go the opposite direction.
Yep.
And what does the concept of work-life balance mean to you?
I don't know that there really is a concept for me, and my wife would probably agree with that, especially during basketball season. And kind of like I said, when you try and ingrain yourself into a community, I don't know that there's any time where it's you go home and turn it off. A lot of times I go home and it's either my wife talking about school or working on school, or I'm talking about school or working on school.
Be honest, Blake, how much help are you offering to a kindergarten teacher? I mean, that's real work, man.
Oh yeah, I know. And I always tell anyone, I go, she's the better of the two teachers in this family.
I mean, they're grinding from the moment they're there.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we're in exams right now but right before winter break, and I can tell you she doesn't have any exams where she's just taking a break before winter break. She's still working hard. So yeah, I don't know that there's a whole lot of work-life balance. Now, obviously, there's times where you kind of need to get away from the school and do your own thing, but that's part of it. Is you really got to love what you're doing, and if you ingrain yourself in what you're doing and show the kids that you care, it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, and I appreciate you talking, Ange, and I think you'd agree with this as well. We're very fortunate in Worthington to have people who are investing into the lives of our students, pour into the lives of our students outside the classroom. But I appreciate you talking to people who are thinking about getting into education, hoping to get into education, and that is the beauty of the balance is also connecting with students outside the classroom, so you can see them in a whole student way, which is important. And we're very fortunate to have a large number of people in Worthington that do that.
Yep.
All right, Blake, I'm going to take you back just a little bit when you went through new teacher orientation. So one of the things that Jeff and I take a lot of pride in, and it's not just Jeff and I, our entire AAPL team and our HR team just does an outstanding job, because we believe that when we bring new teachers into Worthington schools, we want to give them as much information as we can about not just curriculum, but where our kids are living and the community, and so we spend a week or two or more with our new teachers during that time. So take yourself back during that time. And I believe it may have happened on the bus trip to see the community of Worthington. But tell me a little bit about your story about meeting a current colleague of yours now, Anthony Davis, on the new teacher bus tour.
Yep, I'm going to throw Anthony under the bus metaphorically here a little bit.
And I'll be reaching out to Anthony after this story's over.
Make sure he's okay.
So we're going through new teacher orientation, and like you said, it's about a week or so, and you kind of get to know Worthington as a school district, as a community. And I was on the bus with you, Jeff, and you were taking us around the community, showing us all the highlights of Worthington, and kind of taking us through and showing us all the different schools in Worthington. And you had that bag of goodies where you were throwing stuff out after giving.
Were my jokes hitting that day?
They were hitting. Maybe not for Anthony.
Yeah,
but Jeff, we tell you your jokes hit every day, but I don't. We're just making you feel good.
I appreciate that. Listen, you can lie to me. That's fine. That's cool.
I just remember I was you don't know anyone, so you're kind of trying to find people to interact with and sit with. So I ask Anthony, hey, anyone's sitting here? No, you're good. All right. So I take a seat and try and, strike up a little bit of a conversation. And he's just kind of like giving me the cold shoulder, some really short responses. And in my head, I'm like, man, what's up with this guy? Maybe I'm not in the right district. And so ends up, it gets about a month into school, and I'm sitting down. I think me and Anthony are having lunch or something. And it turns out he's talkative. He's a good guy. And I bring it up to him. I'm like, man, you kind of gave me the cold shoulder the first time we met. What was that about? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. He goes, we had football practice during that week. And he goes, I was missing football practice, so I wasn't in the best mood. So it's funny looking back on now, because I always joke with him about it. But I mean, him, and there's a long list of others, Coach Edwards, Austin Wyatt, those guys, Alex Martin, Jay Addy, like, I've got a really good group and a really good base at Kilbourne of people that I sit down and have lunch with every day and have some good laughs, and also just outstanding teachers, people that I can kind of go to if I ever have any questions. And I think part of it is you got to find those people in your school that you can kind of just sit down and have lunch with and kind of joke a little bit, because that's what makes it fun, is getting to know some of your colleagues like that.
Anthony was also a coach, first-year teacher, coaching football at Kilbourne High School.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So Blake, my next question was going to be just, if there are new teachers out there considering Worthington, talk to us a little bit about how you would describe the culture at Worthington Kilbourne High School and just the culture in Worthington in general.
Yeah. I mean, like, I wouldn't be here if the culture wasn't great. And obviously having my wife here too, like the culture is outstanding. At Kilbourne specifically, like I talked about, I've got a good base of teachers that I am able to sit down and hang out with. But also we've got some great administrators there. People like Eric Thomas, Zach Peterson, Dominique, Julie Travis, people that take care of us as teachers and have our back. I think that's a huge piece of it, is when you have administrators like that have your back. And then also, like, I would say some of those same people that I listed off, like we've gone golfing together and done things outside of school. I think that's another key piece of it, is you're not just in it for the edge, or well, not in it for the job piece, but rather like your friends outside of school too. That's a huge piece of it. And then just looking at Worthington as a whole, like, This is a school district that me and my wife have talked about. Like, we want our kids to come to school here because of how great the schools are, because of how great the teachers are. And like I said, like we want to ingrain ourselves in the community and probably be here for 30 plus years. And I wouldn't say that just to say that. That's something that we truly believe as a family.
That's cool. If you're being honest, who's the best golfer on staff?
Be
honest.
I mean, I didn't mention his name, but I haven't. He hasn't taken me out golfing yet.
I know who he's gonna say.
I do too.
So I hope he listens to this. Rocky.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was going to be Rocky.
Yep.
I wasn't sure if it'd be Rocky or Gavin Meeks.
Gavin.
Or,
I don't know.
Gavin can swing it too.
Yeah, he can. Jay Addy's up there too.
Oh, yeah, I
can
forgot
play
about
too.
Jay.
Yeah. But I've heard some stories of Rocky that he's just unbelievable. But he's never gotten me out onto OSU Scarlet, so I'm a little mad at it.
It's disappointing, Rocky. There's still
Maybe
time.
that'll happen now. Yeah.
All right. Last question. So for future educators listening, what makes your journey worth it?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it we've talked about it's the kids. It's the people that you surround yourself with on a daily basis. And I remember like towards the end of my dad's career, he talked about it. Being at basketball practice, being around the kids, it kind of keeps you young, keeps you energized, keeps you on your toes. And that's the fun of it is kids are always going to be kids. And there's a great energy about kids of, they're goofy. They're going to do some dumb things from time to time. But if you teach them hard, if you coach them hard, but you also love them, that's the fun of it, is seeing those kids then grow up, graduate, and then, like we talked about, hopefully become great moms, great dads, things like that. That's the fun piece of it, is the kids, the people that you surround yourself with, and that's part of the journey.
Blake, we are super fortunate to have you in Worthington Schools, and Worthington Kilbourne High School is lucky to have you. I'm sure your students and your athletes would say the same. Thanks for being with us today on the podcast. And it looks like you're getting ready to take your headphones off, but you're not done yet. So hang in there, because we have a whole nother
that was just a
set of
warm-up.
questions. That was just the warm up.
I've listened to previous episodes, and
Is it kind of like Angie's newsletter?
where you skip to the end to see it.
Hey, Blake, make sure you answer vanilla ice cream. Just make sure you answer vanilla.
But no, I've listened to previous episodes, and there's a few where before I got here, I just skipped to the end to make sure I was prepared for some of the questions I was going to get asked.
Well, you can't prepare for these.
Vanilla.
You can't.
Vanilla.
So, in all seriousness, thanks for everything you do in the classroom and outside the classroom. We really mean that. But buckle up, because you know the rules. You can ask to pass. However, we'll wait you out uncomfortably because you can't pass. So I'm gonna add a question based on some new information.
Okay.
If Angie's first year she coached 40 games at Mansfield Senior, what would you have predicted her record was?
Senior high was pretty.
Find that?
Edge. I'm in HR.
Did you find a picture?
Well, I got picture. I got record.
I mean, senior high was pretty good back in the day, and I know she's probably a pretty good coach. I'm gonna guess. You said 40 games.
40 games.
I'm guessing like 35-5.
Oh,
That's
geez,
awesome.
We were not.
I
that
have
good.
no idea, but I just wanted to see what you would say.
I was going to say, how did you find that?
All right, what completely useless talent are you oddly proud of?
Ooh, I mean, this is completely useless, but folding laundry.
That is a talent. That's an important one. How would
so?
Do you think Ashley would rank your ability to fold clothes highly, or do you think she just views it as you're getting the task done?
I don't know if she even recognizes, because like I'm not gonna throw my wife under the bus too much here. That would not be good. But like my closet, I try to have color coordinated and like sectioned off. So like dress shirts are all color coordinated in one section.
Wow,
I like this guy.
man.
T-shirts all have to be sectioned
Learning
out.
a lot here.
And I mean, I'm at the point where I might have to find a separate closet to keep all my Worthington stuff, because coaching and doing so many things, you just gather so much gear. I think I counted like last summer, I've got like 30 Worthington polos, like 30 T-shirts, and all of it. But no, I would say that is the talent of folding clothes and then also organizing them.
All right, I hope your players listen to this podcast, because I want you to answer this honestly. Okay. What drill do you pretend is important but secretly hate? Come on, you know you have one.
Pretend is important. Oh, I mean,
are you shuffling the bass line still?
No, we don't shuffle the bass, but I mean, truthfully, it's probably not very important. But making them run lines, part of it's sometimes just kind of fun to make them run lines. Yeah. But I don't know that that's super important.
That's fair. All right, rank order these fast food fries from best to worst: Wendy's, Chick-Fil-A, Arby's, or McDonald's.
Oh, this is easy. Chick-fil-A number 1.
Oh, you like the waffle, do you?
Oh, love the waffle. And funny story with my wife. She calls them butt fries, like the fries that are at the end of the potato.
Oh, yeah.
That, like, don't have the hole all the way through.
She likes those?
No, she doesn't. She gives me all of them.
Oh, gotcha.
And it usually ends up being like half of them. But I'll get back on track here. Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, Arby's curly fries, and then McDonald's last.
What is the greatest single holiday gift you got that just brings joy to you when you think about it?
I think when I was little, getting my first bike, and not like the tricycle, but like your first like 2-wheel bike. I just remember it was my birthday is the 19th and Christmas is the 25th. It was either for my birthday or Christmas. My dad rolled it from, the basement all the way upstairs, and that was my first bike. And
good memory on that bike?
Yep. I think my parents might still have that bike at home. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And what was your most favorite gift?
Well, Blake made me think about my first skateboard, so that was pretty cool. But like my most memorable what I remember playing with the most was Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Oh. I remember Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I mean, that was so fun.
Oh, that was a blast.
Yeah.
And we would play that, my brother and I, and then it ended up we were actually socking each other.
Yeah, that was
those are good memories. Yeah. Corey, what was your best memory gift?
A lime green Game Boy Color.
Oh, lime green Game Boy. Okay. All right.
That didn't take Corey long to answer that.
Mine, because you didn't ask, but I'm going to ask myself. My $6 million man doll. I loved the $6 million man growing up.
What was the, I don't
Steve Austin?
Not $6 million
like Stretch
man? Armstrong.
No.
Did you have a Stretch
man?
Armstrong?
No.
I don't know $6 million man.
Yeah, $6 million man was a TV show. They had to rebuild him because he got in this horrific space accident. Anyways, I get this gift. My brother and I both got one. So we go out. It's one of those weird, warm Christmas mornings. We go out to play. And one of the cool moves that Steve Austin would do is he would jump and it'd go, din, 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 and he'd jump. So I threw that thing up in the tree, came down, broke his head off. 10 minutes into owning $6 million man, I had a doll with no head. But that was the best 10 minutes of my life. That thing was awesome. All right. What would you say? It's a loaded question. What would you say is, in fact, the greatest ice cream flavor of all time?
Oh, easy. You ever been to Grater's?
Maybe.
Buckeye Blitz.
Buckeye Blitz is good.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That is a really good one. Buckeye, the peanut butter chip I prefer over the Buckeye Blitz, but they're both in that same kind of category.
I think we might have had a conversation about this when we first met at New Teacher Orientation when you took us to Grater's.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Why would I have shared that story? Do you remember?
I don't know.
My wife and I actually got engaged at that Grater's in Worthington.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks for playing along. However, we have one more question.
All right.
What is the greatest cereal of all time?
So I knew this question was coming. And so I had two thoughts. When I was a kid, I used to eat Lucky Charms three times a day. But then I was thinking they came out with the Fruit Loops that have marshmallows.
Yeah.
And that might top Lucky Charms.
Oh, really?
I think I'm gonna stick with Lucky Charms, original Lucky Charms.
No, I appreciate that. I didn't want to sway you. Are you, when you go Lucky Charms, are you the I eat it all together guy, or are you the separate? I'm going to eat the brown stuff to save the marshmallows.
Brown stuff.
So when I was in high school, I used to just eat all like whatever the brown stuff, I guess.
It's got no name.
And then I'd eat the marshmallows. Now, as a somewhat adult, I feel like I just have to eat them all together, or else I feel like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Blake, honestly, thanks for playing along.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Blake, thanks again for your time. This podcast will probably not air until after winter break, but we wish you a happy holiday and some time away, although basketball will probably take some of your time, but enjoy yourself, your family, and have a great time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You too.
Thank you for tuning in to Worth the Journey. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and maybe even learned something new about the people and stories that make Worthington schools so special. If you like this episode, don't stop here. Subscribe and join us next time. You can find Worth the Journey on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, or on our Worthington Schools website. A big shout out to Corey Carter and our communications team for bringing this podcast to life. And of course, to our students from The Ohio State University who inspired us with this idea. And remember, every journey may not always be easy, but in Worthington schools, it's always worth it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of our community. And we can't wait to have you back on our next episode.